Hi everyone, I'm going to make this Facebook Live a little bit of a quick one because it's a bit late. You've probably got better things to be doing than sitting on Facebook Live. But I've just finished the last Zoom for the evening, so I thought I'd quickly jump on and just give you a little recap on two quite major events of this week. Just in case you missed it, on Monday, we announced that in addition to the portion of vaccine that we had already purchased from Pfizer, we've now made an additional purchase, which will take us up to enough doses of the Pfizer vaccine in order to provide that for every single New Zealander, and also for us to be able to work with the Pacific to provide it there if that's what they choose as well. So that's a really positive thing. One of the reasons it's so positive, of course, is we did previously have enough vaccines purchased to be able to cover all of New Zealand, but with a range of different vaccines. This gives us a bit of simplicity in our rollout because it means we'll be dealing with one, not multiple, and it also means that all New Zealanders can expect to have access to the same vaccine, which is really, really positive. It is also demonstrating itself to be a highly effective vaccine as well. So 95% effective at preventing symptomatic cases of COVID-19. So that's great. So that's what we've done this week. So in terms of what that means for our rollout, all of the delivery schedules for vaccines, obviously at the moment, a lot of demand. Most are providing delivery schedules that have on a rolling basis vaccines coming in from quarter one. So we've already started receiving them, but right through to quarter four, so the end of the year. And that's the case for us as well. So I think most countries will be in quite long vaccination campaigns. But today we released details of our vaccine sequencing. So you'll already know the beginnings of that. We've prioritised frontline workers because they're the ones most at risk. We're then rolling through to their families, and then from there our health workers and those at the front line of the health workforce. We then move into those who are in the most high-risk environments to those who are most high risk, so those who are most likely to get really ill. There's good analysis over, who those groups are, and right at the top is obviously the elderly. So if you're elderly and you're in an aged care facility, or if you're elderly and you're in whānau care, we really want to make sure that we're reaching you. And so we'll be then moving through residential environments like aged care facilities, but we've also got a portion that we'll be allocating to our Pacifica and Māori providers to make sure that we're reaching our older people who might be in family care situations as well. Then we start moving through to our vulnerable over 65s. We're going to start with South Auckland because not only are they vulnerable as an age group, they're also in a highly vulnerable area in terms of where we've had our outbreaks. Then we go out over 75s, comorbidities, those people who have respiratory illnesses, diabetes, coronary issues, and so on, also because of the vulnerabilities. And by about the middle of the year, we're then able to offer it to everyone. We then have enough vaccine that we just basically say everyone is now able to access the vaccine. So that's basically the process that we're going through. Of course, for Pfizer, it's already gone through MedSafe, and so that's an independent process to us. They're the ones that undertake all of our approval processes for every drug that's made available in New Zealand. They've already done that for the vaccine. And so that's why, of course, we're rolling it out as we speak. Joanna, you've asked whether or not I can take it first. The reason I haven't taken it first is just because I'm not at risk, and I didn't feel right about putting myself ahead of others who genuinely are. But I also understand that I have a role to play in demonstrating my trust and confidence in the vaccine. So I'll be making sure I weigh all of that up and take it in a timely way so that you can see that I'm fine and that it's okay. As much as that matters, as much as that is a factor for some people, they may well want to see that. So I am thinking about that. So Fiona's just asking about some of the priorities. Yes, Fiona, what I'll do is I'm going to put up the sequencing so you can see the detail of the prioritisation, so you can see that we have tried to factor in issues like disability issues and so on for all of that work as well. So, Kerry, you've asked, does this prevent the spread of COVID, or does it simply lessen the symptoms? So, obviously by what we want to do is make sure that people don't die. And so what most of the vaccines are demonstrating that they're doing really well is preventing people getting severely ill. What we are still waiting for a bit of evidence around is, does it stop people passing it on to one another? At this stage, because, say, for Pfizer, 95%, reduction in symptomatic infection, that means if you're not symptomatic, you're less likely to pass it on. So it does seem to be having an effect. That's something that we're still waiting for a bit more evidence around, which is why, even though we're vaccinating our frontline workers, we're still asking them to take all of the preventative measures that we would usually ask them, because we just want to be extra cautious. We're still waiting to see some of the impacts. Robin, so there's been a number of clinical trials. So when I'm using those figures, that's where they've come from. We can also see the effects of countries where they have wider spread rollout. So Israel is starting to release some of their data because they've been vaccinating since December. So those are the numbers that I'm using. They're not things I just made up, I can assure you of that. So forgive me, everyone, I'm just skimming through. Bex, if anyone has any individual health questions where they're concerned about whether or not that it's appropriate for them because of particular medical conditions to be vaccinated, Bex, just consult your doctor and they can give you specific advice on any issue like that. And Duncan, you're right, there is lots of information. I think I actually, if you're on Instagram, still have a link in my bio consolidating from my chief science advisor all of the information around vaccines, explainers, talking about the different types, hopefully a really helpful little guide. Look, everyone, I promised you a short live, and so far this has not been short. And any moment now, I'm going to get a call from one of my colleagues who wants to go over a few things. So, and also I'm down off to the Hawke's Bay tomorrow, so I should probably pack a bag. So thank you for joining me briefly for this late night update. I will make sure that I post in the comments section a link to the rollout plan so that you can see a little more detail. But for most people, if you're under 65 and you don't have any comorbidities and you don't live in any residential settings, then for the most part you'll be looking at about the middle of the year when you'll be able to access the vaccine. Right, Jill McGregor has told me to go to bed and get some sleep. Thank you. I'm going to sign off. Thanks for joining me, and I'll talk to you all again soon. Ka kite.